Okay. Well, it's officially 2 o'clock, and I am Chris Graft, editor in chief of Gamasutra.com, here joined by a certain.
A certain someone. I am Alex Waro, an editor at Gamasutra.com, and today we're going to have ourselves a nice laid back, chill hangout while we play a little bit of The Last Mermaid.
You know how chill it's going to be.
hmm
We're actually just going to watch this little kid sleep the whole time for about an for about an hour.
Like, there's a part of me that would be absolutely okay with that.
I'm actually okay
That's
with
what I need in
doing
my
that.
life.
Yeah. I mean, this is like what, idle games, right? It's this is like the ultimate, most anticipated idle game.
Yeah, and this Twitch stream is like the ultimate social idol game. Like, let's all just hang
Yeah,
out
we're just
and
kind
take it
of
easy.
here. You got a little bit of camera movement. It's a nice cinematic touch. Okay, so this is The Last Guardian. We've been waiting for it to be done for what is it,
I
two or
guess,
three centuries? I
yeah,
can't
a
really
lifetime.
remember. Yeah. Actually, I saw a pretty funny tweet. This is how old it is. It was actually uh, going to be a PlayStation 2 game, I think. At least
Yeah.
3, because I saw our buddy, game historian Frank Cifaldi. He got an email from Amazon this morning informing him that his PlayStation 3 order was canceled.
Oh, that's
Um,
rough.
yeah, so this was developed by Gen Design, uh,
Yeah, about that.
yeah, Japan Studio. Um,
Yeah. Well, yeah. For I mean, it always sounded like it was developed by basically everyone at Sony at some point.
yeah,
So if I remember right, this was announced like in 2005, and
yeah,
it's had a roughly 10 or 11 year development cycle. And when it was announced, it was being developed by Team Ico
hmm,
inside Sony Japan.
yeah,
And then that team basically disbanded and went and became Gen Design in like 2014, I think,
yeah,
when the director Fumito Ueda left
uh,
Sony.
yeah.
So yeah, it's like everybody on this game
This is
basically.
this is the first mass collaboration PlayStation game. Just everyone has had their hands on it. Okay, so I'm gonna drive you a little bit here and just kind of commentate on
I feel bad about you
what the
waking this
heck's
kid up.
going. I know. This is a thing though. If you're a parent, like you don't wake the kid up.
王た様かくうなぐいえたげ
Why not? What was wrong? I mean, like, what if the kid has to go to
Don't
school
let
or
the
they have
kid
like chores
let the
or
kid sleep. Have a glass of wine. I mean, how often has this happened to you? You wake up and the giant catbird dogosaur is right there. So you see it there in the top right. Um, this is an interesting. This is the very very beginning.
危ないてったわく
Yeah, so let's talk about that because I know you played a bit of this game and you decided to go take us back to the beginning, and I kind of want to know, both myself and the audience. I think this is our first time looking at this game. Like, why is it important to see it from the start?
青にあと王に
So first of all, I did restart this from the beginning,
あの意味
and there's only one save slot. So I really took one for the team here.
Right.
I restarted from the beginning after about several hours of play. But yeah, that's a good question actually, because holy cow, that's a good question because what it does, it establishes both of you as kind of almost partners right at the beginning. There's just this thing where you're waking up and you're together.
hmm
So that's an immediate. This game is so good. This is the best companion-based game that I've like ever played, hands down. I haven't played every single video game in existence, but as far as I go,
Yeah.
and as far
So
as ICO or Eco, it is the best companion game.
try goes as far. Yeah. So like, what is that about? Like, I think there is like there's a dominant theme in Fumito Ueda's games and Team Ico and then Gen Design's games, which is all about like some kind of like subtle, soft form of partnership. And like, how is that communicated here as compared to the other games? Because I think if anyone watching is not familiar with the work, like most of his games are about, there's only been 3 so far. So one's about like leading someone out of a castle, and one is about like riding a horse around to attack monsters. And in both cases, you have very soft touch, like in terms of the partner. Like there's no real on-screen indicators. You kind of have to learn to watch their movements and sort of come to understand these in-game creations as though they were living beings. Is that how it goes here? Like,
Yeah. So I'm gonna remove a spear here. See, we're already bonding here. So it's interesting. The companionship, he takes a different approach than other games that have like a buddy in them, like an NPC or AI buddy. There's whether you're talking about Eco or you're talking about Shadow of the Colossus or you're talking about this game, your partner has personality and a certain degree of autonomy. And I think that the autonomy from the first game to the third game has just taken large steps every time. So in Eco, the gal that you're helping, she has, like, you have to really lead her a lot, I feel like.
yeah.
In Argo, I'm not sure if people like really appreciated this, or in Shadow of the Colossus, but with your horse Argo, the way that you control that horse exemplifies the approach that Ueda takes with his partners. So now, 1 second here, like if I could just interrupt myself, this is a tutorial here. It's basically explaining traversal through like all of the common types of traversal. What the little boy has deduced is the man-eating monster is hungry. So
Yeah, I gotta say, like this opening is a pretty like subtle and streamlined way to do a tutorial section. Like as someone who's been playing games for like the better part of my life, like I almost wish it wasn't there at all. But at least if they need to do this sort of way of introducing you to the creature and like making it part of the story seems very well done. And I'm coming from a point like right now here at the end of 2016 where I've recently been playing games like Let It Die and Tyranny, and Let It Die has a very similar opening scene where it's just like you just drop right in and you just go and you sort of figure it out as you go. Tyranny has a more like sort of structured and traditional sort of way of bringing you in. I don't know. I think this is really something worth lauding, like this kind of.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's like a applied, narratively applied tutorial. Like I'm learning how to navigate the virtual space. At the same time, I'm establishing the foundation of a bond between me and an animal. Yeah, it's it works. It works on a couple levels. So I was starting to talk about. So he's not very trusting of me right now.
Like I wouldn't trust you either. You look like extra.
I know who wouldn't trust me to bring them a whole barrel of food.
Where are your shoes? Who goes into a cave without shoes on?
Hey, that's a mystery that I'm hoping to solve at some point. So the I'm gonna try to pull a lever here. The thing I was saying about Argo and how the way that Argo is controlled exemplifies Ueda's approach to companionship in these games and and teamwork kind of, is that both the protagonists, like you, the player, and the horse are autonomous to different degrees. So the way that you control Argo, if you remember, is that you don't press up to control the horse and then left and right to control the horse.
Yeah.
You kick it sides and then the horse goes. So you press a button, you kick it sides, the horse goes because it's a horse and he wants to go. And then you guide him like by the reins, of course. So that's subtle, but it makes you feel like, okay, this horse is doing a thing that horses do.
Yeah, I think what I think is really worth celebrating in games that have been developed by this team is the design of the companions and the way that like they flout game design sort of orthodoxy insofar as like they're not always helpful and they're not always easy to understand and they don't always do the best thing, right? So like in most games players will get frustrated if a companion NPC or someone they have to escort somewhere doesn't really go along with exactly what they want them to do. But here, it's sort of wrapped up in the idea that you are learning to understand and guide a living creature.
Yeah.
And the fact that the team can pull that off with a mix of animation and AI and the way the controls are designed is like really remarkable. Kind of like, I like these games in spite of themselves. I didn't particularly enjoy Ico, but I love Shadow, and that game's like hard to control. It's not fun. It doesn't feel, to me at least, very intuitive, but it's believable in a way that I think a lot of games aren't.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as far as Shadow and Ico go. I think that part of it too is that Ueda's approach to control, even if it's just on like this gamepad, this extremely abstracted piece of hardware that you use to interact with something virtual, is like he's like very yeah. I keep on getting my ass knocked out. Yeah, so he's very thoughtful. For example, in Shadow of the Colossus, remember how you attack? Like, you don't press a button to attack and then he just attacks, like on the execution of that command. You let a graph build up and then you let go and it's like this release. You remember? Like, you hold...
Kind of vaguely? It's been a couple of years.
Yeah, when you strike, you hold down, like, you hold down the button, and then there's a graph that kind of grows, and then you release it, and the better the timing is, the better the strike. But it just gives this, it's like inhale and then exhale is when the strike happens. When you're climbing the beast, if I remember, in Shadow... If I remember correctly, you're actually holding down a shoulder button, so you feel like you're grasping onto it. I mean, and you're doing that with your actual controller.
Yeah,
so,
totally.
like, it's that kind of just thoughtfulness of, it's to Ueda. It's like it's not just a button press. It has to mean something in the world. You have to build this connection.
Yeah, and of course, like him and his entire team, like whoever is involved in like fine-tuning the control scheme on these games is remarkable. I mean, like the way these games replicate tactility is sort of second to none. I can't think of another game that does a better job of making it feel like you're climbing something, or riding something. That's neat. Like I could use big words all day, but like that's a neat thing to do with game design is to try and replicate the feel of being in a world, in a very tactile way.
So, in this game, you don't have to hold down R1. Actually, I, fell off of him right there. You don't have to hold down a button to hold on.
That's kind of a bummer. I kind of like that.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, okay, so you were talking about animation and things like that. I'm gonna take a step back from Trico here, so you can see some of the mannerisms, like he or she or I don't know, like makes
you can probably climb underneath and find out if it's a he or a she.
I'll get right there. The mannerisms are such a perfect combination of cat, dog, and bird
Yeah.
I mean, Trico howls, whimpers, but also has this kind of bird-like neck that it's just extremely expressive, and you don't really see something this big compared to the rest of its environment. It's like this is a giant animal operating in very small, like relatively small spaces. And the way that it has to twist and turn, and there's not too much clipping and things like that. You know, like when a dog gets down a hallway and it's too narrow for it to turn down, like it'll have to back up, like awkwardly.
Yeah. Actually, my friend had a dog once where instead of doing that, he would lay down on the ground and roll around until he fit. It was kind of hilarious. I don't know if Trico does that or not, but we'll see.
Oh, see, okay, so.
Can we just talk about our dogs for a while?
Yeah, let's talk about it. Do you have a dog?
No, we live.
You have a cat, though.
That's where we live right now. But our cat's great. Our cat's the best.
If you have a cat, a dog, or a bird, we can talk about Trico and relate it back.
Okay, well then, does Trico do this thing my cat does, where she tries to jump up on a ledge because she's chasing a bug or whatever, but then she misjudges and then like can't fit on the ledge, so she falls back off and tries to pretend it's not a big deal and she meant to do it the whole time? Does Trico ever do that?
I think you know.
Well, no, I don't, because you play more of this game than I probably will until next year.
No, I mean, I think there must be. We should like. I'd like to graph out how many times the ground has given way under Nathan Drake versus like compared to Trico.
Yeah, all right, I would take that.
I'll tell you though, I don't care as much if Nathan Drake. I don't like gasp if the ground once again gives way.
Well, yeah, so that's another really interesting thing, right? It's like I would gather you probably don't actually care as much if your main character here slips and falls. Like it sucks because you have to like restart unless Trico catches you. But
also it's you, and you know. You know what I mean? Like I guess you don't. I don't care as much.
Well, I'm actually Nathan Drake, so I feel very attached to that character every time he slips and falls on a bridge or a rope swing or anything else.
I mean, who hasn't had that happen to him?
No, like I think it was sort of what you remind me of is like in a lot of games, developers will script sequences or design sort of like edge of cliff animations to make it look like, oh god, your character that you're playing and you're supposed to identify with is in mortal peril, right? They're about to fall to their doom or whatever. And yeah, I never care. I mean, I care because it means I might have to restart, and that's a bummer. But in games like this, like I remember in Shadow of the Colossus, like I really cared about Argo. Like any time he might be in danger or might like look like he was going to run off a cliff, which of course he wasn't because he's a horse. But he's not really a horse. He's an AI construct. So like there's no reason he couldn't run off a cliff. And I was scared that he would. And I never feel that way about my main characters. I just feel like, oops.
Yeah, because it's you. It's like, oh, okay, I screwed up. But there's a certain degree of like you feel like you might care about your companion, but you have no control over them because they're autonomous. They have their own thing they want to do.
Yeah, and there's the weight on you as the avatar, right? Like if you're stepping into a virtual world and you are controlling something, then in a way you don't care about that thing because it doesn't exist. You're inhabiting it and you're in another world. But the things you touch in that world do exist separate from you, and so like it feels worse to watch a companion die or watch Trico slip and fall than it does to watch your little kid fall. Although that kid should be dead. Like I watched him get kicked against that wall. That kid should not be okay.
Tough little kid. I mean, I don't know what universe he's from either. So maybe there's something with their bones are just sturdier.
Yeah, it's probably possible. Like a different. It's actually not actually Earth. It's like years before Earth, so everyone's like 400 pounds and super dense.
Yeah. So I'll point this out too. When you first start this game, there is like Trico has much more of, not much more, but he definitely has more of a mind of his own. He kind of, it is, and you know, I think it's a mix of well, first of all, you gain controls later on to get him to move places. So it's kind of like as your as your relationship, grows over time, then he's more receptive to suggestions about movement. So, like, you'll be able to kind of point somewhere and, tell him where to go. But, like, so far, at least in the game for me, it doesn't feel like I'm controlling him, per se. It feels like I'm making suggestions. And when he decides to do it, I mean, it's his decision. Like, he decided to listen to me and help me out by jumping over to this ledge. And sometimes he doesn't do it. I don't know, like, I'm sure there's a fair amount of the game is, like, just not responding how it's supposed to, combined with deliberate artistic direction of how the animal is supposed to act. But overall, it makes you feel like, okay, I'm just making a suggestion. I don't have control over this animal.
And I bet you, like me, are more forgiving because it's so obtuse. Like, this game doesn't give you a pointer and a highlighter that say go here, do that, or whatever. You just kind of have to sort of hit the button and aim your dude in the direction. Yeah. So that means, like, you can't hold it accountable if Trico doesn't go exactly where you wanted him to go, because you can't actually directly tell him where to go. Yeah. And that whole, like, that's a design choice that like, seems self-defeating in a way, right? Like you're in a way you're disempowering the player. Like, you're not giving. Oh, actually, I guess your shield you can, like, directly reflect. I take it back.
I mean, I know what you're saying, though. It's totally one of those situations where, it's not a bug, it's a feature. And it really is. So, you talked about direction and waypoints and things like that. There is, like, none of that in this game. I tweeted snarkily that this will probably, like, end up winning the best something like the best unintuitive game design of 2016. Now, however, so Alex, you're on, like, the Twitch delay, just like everyone else, but you can see what they do in this game instead of use waypoints.
I can see that your giant bird dog can shoot lightning out of his butt.
Okay, but he was scratching at the door.
Yeah, that was cool.
Basically, and I didn't know. I was wandering around for maybe 15 minutes the first time I played this, because, look, you wouldn't be able to tell that this is something breakable. There's not, like, there's, like, no signposts, except, but what's a big signpost? Like, this big guy who's going to scratch at the door like a dog. And just the behaviors that, like, they give Trico. Like, you really feel attached to the animal right away.
Yeah, and, like, it's worth talking about that in, like, not just in, like, oh, this game does it well, but, like, all of these games, like, all this Ico Shadow of the Colossus, like, every game has remarkably believable and authentic behaviors, like character interactions, movement, animation. So I think if anyone is, like, looking at these games, I mean, you can look at them as ways to design puzzle games and ways to tell stories without like a bunch of lore or whatever, but, like, really what they are to me is studies in character animation and behavioral design, because, like, these games, like, live or die based on how you feel about the things you see, whether it's the colossi or the princess in the shadows or this big dog thing. Like, that's what people come to these games for, and that's remarkable. Like, I can't think of many other games. You're
so dead on. I'm glad you brought that up, because this game sacrifices actual gameplay in order to convey certain animations and mannerisms in its characters. Like, there's going to be a lot of people that, understandably really do not enjoy playing this game in 2016, because, like, when I change direction, like, this does not skip frames in order to facilitate a faster turnaround. It completes, like, the animations, and but visually, sit down and play this game and have someone watch, even someone who doesn't like video games, and it's enthralling for them, I think. And like for example, just my wife was watching me play, and we're both animal lovers. Like she grew up, her family was raised Great Danes and stuff, so she can barely watch because this animal is just getting it's kind of struggling, but it's
I mean, there are whole parts where you have to like pull weapons out of its fur and like pet it and soothe it when it's been through combat.
Yeah.
It's like kind of upsetting.
Yeah, or if like the ground is giving way and you just don't know if it's gonna make it. So I've been inviting her to come and watch me play, and she was like, "It's like no, like I just know that something's gonna happen to that.
Something bad's gonna happen to that thing. I know. I don't want to play it either."
Yeah. Okay, so this part.
Oh man, now I'm remembering. Didn't something bad happen to the horse in Shadow of the Colossus? I feel like your horse right there at the end. Oh man, I'm just really into. These games are real bummers.
Yeah, I mean, let's not give away too many spoilers about this PS2 game.
Sorry, I spoiled Shadow. All right, so how are you gonna get through here? And also, like, there's narrative in this I don't think I've seen that before in a game like this, right? Like, something that appears to be your character in the future is like talking over what's going on.
Yeah, it's I like that device because that at least you live. Although there have been like movies where the narrator is like a ghost or something, but like. Yeah, that's a really useful thing that pops up sometimes, like if you're stuck, and it also serves as a narrative mechanism to move the story along. So it's like at the beginning there, you might have noticed when I'm kind of wandering around, your future self talks about how the beast was hungry and was wanting food, and it's like, okay, well,
sure.
Yeah.
What about you? Do you ever eat? Like, that kid must be starving.
You know what? He might just be some kind of super mutant that can get tossed against walls and not have to eat.
Yeah,
I mean, like Trico's been eating a decent amount of this barrel food, but he hasn't gone to the bathroom yet. Haven't seen the bathroom animation. The old pop and squat.
Yeah, if you watch that, so that's exciting.
Yeah.
So, is it weird to play a game that has been like 10 years in development? Like, do you see any strange, rough edges or weird disjointed?
Oh yeah, definitely. And I actually, I missed the dramatic jump of. Yeah, so he came down.
Yeah, see, if this was Gears of War, there would have been a button you could press, and it would like let you know, like press A to watch the dramatic jump.
Hold down R3. Yeah, this definitely feels a game a little bit out of its time. Mm-hmm. I think most of all in the level design, there's nooks and crannies here that just would not. Just do not make sense to you. You might hear my dog barking here.
Dogs love this game.
Yeah. Particularly the level design, some of it is just so confusing. Some of it's so confusing because there's going to be something that you can climb or a nook that looks like perfect human boy shaped. And it has nothing to do with anything that you have to do, like none of your goals.
No, I've been there. I mean, like I often walk by perfect man-shaped nooks in life, and I'll sort of peek in there, and like there's nothing.
I'll just stand in the perfect man-shaped nooks unless I realize, like, just grab. You're not a man. Get out of that nook.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I think this is a stronger year than most for games out of time. You know, it's like this Final Fantasy 15. That's basically it, really. But still, like it's on the one hand like really remarkable that games can take so long and be so troubled and so tricky to bring together. And also, I think if you are finding something valuable in this experience, like if you find this game to be of merit and you're glad it exists, I think it's a good reminder that like games don't have a time in a certain sense. Like this game may have evolved over a platform and a half and God knows how many iterations and teams, but like you can like games like this were being put out on the PS2 and they're just as good today as they were then, and they're just as important for people to study as they were back then.
Yeah. And there are rough edges, and I think that we just saw I think it was Yu Suzuki just commented on rough edges. I know that Jonathan Blow like years ago commented about rough edges in games, but it really does, you know, I'm all for polish. I love polish, but that just because there's some rough edges doesn't mean that the vision of the game, the personality of the people who made it can't shine through. Yeah. This game feels like somebody's hands were on it, and I love that.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Or as you when I said that in Slack chat, like Chris Graff likes his artisanal games.
Yeah, it's handcrafted, totally locally sourced. Like
locally
you
sourced.
can tell a craftsman has run their hands over every bit of this geometry.
Yeah, just like human knuckles were in the dough.
Yeah, it is. It's tricky to know. Like, I think a lot of game developers hear that and they go, "Great, you know, I have an idea for a sweet run and gun shooter as a throwback to the 16-bit era or whatever, and it's going to be all mine." And I think it's tricky to know to really pin down what it is about a game that makes it okay for it to have some sort of shortcomings versus like versus not okay.
Okay,
like,
so I've been thinking of this. And I think you're about to see an example. But there's a core vision in this. Okay, there's some failings, you know, there's some imperfections, there's some technical things that aren't great. But the thing that, like, the vision for what is important, what the game does need to nail, it nails. Which is like the companionship thing. Yeah.
And like no, there aren't many developers that nail that. Like this is very rare. Like it has its own little, like, I hate to call it a niche because I don't think like Team Ico games are necessarily a niche, but like it has a niche that it wants to serve and it serves it well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Touchy-feely things.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely it's not a perfect game, but it as far as you know, maybe on a technical basis. But so far, and I haven't finished the game, it's completely accomplishing what I feel like it sought out to accomplish. So just now we saw Trico. Like, I love this. It's just like a classic. I found an animal type story that I think a lot of people can maybe relate to.
I found an animal.
I found an animal. And
God, it's so cute. I hate it. I can't watch you play this game.
So Alex, tell me why you think it's so cute. First of all, like what my point was going to be just then was that like this animal's now trying to follow me home. I said goodbye. Yeah. I need to go back to my village, and then instead of just letting me go, it burst through a wall so that it could just tail me a bit.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like this game is so cute because it replicates the story of finding a stray animal and bringing it home with you, and like it's sort of nuts that we don't see that more often in games. You know, like you'll see it in like little bits like side quests and stuff, but this is a whole game based around that. And there's so much like children's lit about finding a stray puppy or a stray cat or whatever, and you know, nursing it back to health and taking care of it. And, you know, coming to have an attachment to it and feelings for it, and like this game is that in a God knows how many $1 million budget PlayStation 4 game, and that's I mean, it's fantastic that it exists, and it's sort of weird that we don't see more twists on that trope in game design.
Yeah, I think it's probably just really difficult to pull off.
to recreate a living animal.
Yeah, like that. I mean, it doesn't have to be. I mean, you can do it. In a. Yeah, I mean, it can be done, but I don't know. I guess it's just kind of challenging to do.
It really is down to the animation, because like I remember looking at this game across all the years of its development and hype, and like that creature has never looked particularly cute to me. I mean, it's certainly worth it's certainly worth like loving as a virtual creation or whatever. But like,
Yeah,
it's not cute. But the way it moves is incredibly endearing and believable.
yeah. Look at like what it's doing now. I mean, it's kind of like it's doing a kind of a cat thing now, where it's sees something, and you're like, "What the hell are you looking at, cat?" And it's getting excited about something, and you don't really know.
Cats are creepy though. Like, I'm just gonna say, like, if this thing goes full cat, I'm gonna be a little weirded out, because our cat does this thing where she like will track something flying, like a bug or whatever, and she'll like get up on her hind legs and jump sideways like she's some kind of creepy like nightmare monster, and it's really unsettling. So
Trico doesn't quite go full cat, but it's like definitely strikes the balance. Kind of got the bird-like movement of the neck. And
so like, what is it like to try and train this virtual cat bird dog thing? Like, can you control it?
It's frustrating, and you'll see it. I mean, like, if you play this game, you'll be frustrated because like I mean, Trico won't do what you want him to do, and he'll do stuff that
Nice.
And Trico will do stuff that you didn't tell him to do, and you're just wondering, what are you doing? What are you thinking? But I think that's key. Like, the fact that I'm sitting here playing this video game and I'm wondering, what are you thinking of this animal, this digital animal? I think that says something about how much personality it has. And it offers so much. The behavior offers so much, so many like little surprises while you play.
Mm-hmm.
Like right now, you'll see that Trico's following me down this path.
That footing looks real precarious. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't take my cat out to this.
Trico's a huge fan of precarious, like footing. Really likes giant stone pillars that no way will hold.
God, has any game developer ever replicated the way a cat kind of like shuffles its feet and looks nervously around before it jumps better than that? That was amazing.
Yeah. Could you imagine like Tokyo Jungle but with animals this big?
That would be. I mean, that would be great. Tokyo Jungle is one of the best games ever made, but that'd also be kind of upsetting.
Yeah, they are,
but man,
kind
like,
of all vying for. Yeah.
You know, as the game industry sort of like sort of circulates, you know, chews over and regurgitates like the news and reviews and coverage of games, like everyone talks about it and the artistic vision that unites these games, and that's worth celebrating. But like, I wish we could get a really in-depth interview with the people that animated these creatures, because that, to me, more than almost anything else, is what defines these games and sort of makes them.
Oh yeah.
And I want to know how they do that. Like, how do you get that thing to look like a real cat? That's amazing.
You know, if we can't get them on here, or get into contact with them with an interview, or have them write something, and we can maybe have somebody, an animator, break down just how complex these animations actually are.
Yeah, we should do a roundtable or something, because like we do try to get developers on to write about their stuff on Gamasutra, but the Japanese game developers seem a little more reticent about speaking out of turn or opening up about their work as compared to Western developers. So it will be a challenge.
So this game had such a, from what I understand, a fractured development cycle, and who knows how possibly burnt out people are from shipping this game.
Yeah, I mean, a way to quit. Like, I don't know if he quit. He he left as a full-time employee like back in 2014
Yeah.
or something, or no, 2011, I guess. So a long time ago. Can we just talk about that that little piece Simon Parkin did for the New Yorker about Ueda this week?
Yeah,
'Cause I thought that was super charming.
that's one of those stories that I have open on a tab right now currently.
All right, so like
and haven't read, but tell me about it.
Yeah, anyone who's watching this, if you go to Gamasutra.com, we did a quick pull quote out of a New Yorker story that was published on the website this week by writer Simon Parkin, who occasionally writes for us and writes for the New Yorker and writes for the Guardian, and just is fantastic. And it's not super long. It's a little profile of Ueda. It has some quotes that are really interesting, but what I found even more interesting than the quotes is like more background on where this guy came from, and his background is as an art student, as an artist. There's a bit in there where before he joined Sony as a full-time developer, he was taking part in like a Sony-funded art competition or like art event. So they gave him like $1,000 in the 90s to just do an art installation, and he went and built this like, I'm not sure exactly. It was like a cage with some dirt in it in the middle of like a shopping mall in like downtown in a Japanese like metropolitan area.
Okay.
And this like cage full of dirt in the middle of the shopping mall had like a little thing in it that would fling dirt at people, because the idea was like I think a cat was supposed to be like hiding beneath the dirt and like trying to play around with it or whatever. So people would walk by and he would just like fling dirt at them. and he's like, Parkin has the quote in there about like, so why did you make people's day worse as part of your art installation? He's like, well, I wanted to create art that would get all over your clothes. Like I didn't want to just do a painting or do whatever or a song. I wanted something that you would have to like take home with you and wash out. And I was like, oh, all right.
That's
cool.
That's interesting, and I wonder how much of that sentiment, not sediment, sentiment,
That was smooth.
is translated into video games, like art that's all over you.
Yeah.
You would think that think his next thing's gonna be VR, so you can just have art. You're into art.
Man, maybe, or maybe he'll just go like Takahashi and make a playground.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to draw too strong a line between that and his work in games, because like it's many years ago. That's a different way of thinking, different medium, totally different person in the 90s than you are now. But like there is
Not
a
me.
shared. You just never left the 90s.
The same, yeah.
I can believe it. There's like a shared appreciation for the tactile, in terms of both the game design and like throwing dirt at people, and I think it's fantastic, because I don't see it evinced in many games the way it's evinced here. That's not to say a lot of game developers didn't necessarily work on interesting art projects where they threw dirt or paint or who knows what at people, or just like got real dirty. I gotta say also, there's a bit in that New Yorker feature where Parkin alludes to Ueda staging a street fight as the finale of his like performance art competition, and it goes wrong, and I guess like he like broke his nose or something, like something real bad happened, and Ueda like still has like aches and pains from his like performance street fight gone awry.
That's art.
It's pretty good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So right now I'm just kind of hanging out in this broken down temple with my giant catbird dogosaur.
So what's the deal with these little butterfly things? Someone mentioned in chat that it's like a good way to draw attention. Is it actually being used to sort of subtly show you where to go or what to look at?
The butterflies hover around the barrels of food.
Oh.
I'm not exactly sure. I mean, the food is a way to kind of motivate. And to survive, for the old metabolism, and also to motivate Trico in certain situations.
Sorry, I went back to look at this Ueda thing because I was so captivated by it. And besides all the throwing dirt and staging street fights, I like the idea that so there's a quote from this New Yorker piece where Ueda says like, I wanted to make something that had more of a lasting impact than a painting. I wanted people to go home and find soil on their shirt or in their hair. That would be memorable art, I thought.
That gives me goosebumps.
Yeah.
And also, like, I really like, again, I haven't read that profile yet, but I like when game, like, developers, game designers can speak in an educated manner about other forms of art and entertainment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Things that they've enjoy or participated in or made that doesn't involve lightsabers or xenomorphs.
Yeah, I mean, I love a good lightsaber, but I'll go one step beyond. I'll say
You
like
do, don't you?
I do. I'm really
Yeah.
into Star Wars. I was
The expanded universe. I know what happens when I'm not on these streams, and it's just you and Bryant Francis, another Gamasutra writer. And what you guys do is you get into this non-canonical lore.
It's
Star
like that's
Wars.
still like a fresh wound in my heart. Let's not dig into that. What I want to say is like I want to go one step beyond and say I really appreciate and would like to see more game developers come from backgrounds beyond games. Which is to say, like, it's great if you grew up loving games and want to make games. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's also great if you grew up and wanted to make art and went to art school and learned to do sculpture or painting or architecture. You know, you went to architecture school and then you went into game design. Like that, that breathes new and interesting life into the industry that I think it sorely needs. And like we've gotten a lot more of it in the last couple of years as game design has become, I don't want to say like democratized, but tools have become cheaper and easier to use. And that means like you have people like William, I'm gonna mispronounce his name, but like William Shear, who is I believe he was an installation artist, and then now he's making a game called Manifold Garden. I think, which is just a fantastic looking game. I mean, who knows how the game will actually, you know, what he'll actually come out with, but the design he's laid out and the work he's shown during development has been remarkable. And I don't think we would have seen that 5 or 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But we did see Ueda making games in the 90s, which is kind of amazing.
So if you can appreciate this part, I've kind of been wandering around here, finding food, going down dead ends, and then once again, my giant buddy is hinting at me like what I should be doing. And everyone who's watching, I'm sure that you see where the camera has gotten wonky. The camera is wonky.
Feisty. Yeah.
it's a feisty camera, just like how it was in
about what you should be looking at.
Yeah, just like it is in every, like just in Eco and in Shadow. So yeah, I don't think it's on. This is on purpose, but I was talking about some of the controls and the camera wonkiness with one of our UK writers, and he said, "Oh well, maybe it's because, you know, you're just a little boy and maybe you're supposed to be frustrated about trying to get around and stuff like that." I don't think it was that deliberate, but sure, I'll take that.
I do remember being a little kid and like when you would like grow every birthday, you would not only get tall, like you would get physically better. I remember like going from like grade to grade, like the older kids were always faster, stronger, better at grabbing and climbing. Like you literally do just get better at moving around as you get older. It's I've forgotten about it now because all I'm doing now is totally getting worse at everything, but it's totally on point.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm comfortable with just getting worse at everything. I'm at that stage now.
I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Yeah. Anyway.
So do you ever like? This is maybe too of a gamey game question, but like I'm very curious.
Games.
Do you ever fight anything in this game, or do you just solve puzzles? Like I know you haven't.
We might be coming.
Much,
yeah, we might be coming up on something like that, and if I can get there in the next 10 minutes, then maybe that'll happen. But yeah, there are some enemies. You're not really doing the fighting. It's Trico who's doing the fighting.
Okay, great, because there is no one to fight, kill, stab.
And it's just like it's another device that's used to get you attached to this animal. Like he is your friend, your companion, also your attack dog. You know. Like, he cares about you and you care about him, and he shows his affection for you. One of the ways is by making sure that you're safe from certain enemies.
Does he care about you? Because this is something that always like plagues
You know
me.
what? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't really know what his motivations are. I think that he does, but there could be some twist where he's not. You know,
like my cat likes me the most when it's time to feed. You know, like when it's dinner time. That's when she's most excited to see me.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely convinced she wouldn't eat my face if I died and there's nothing else to do. Like,
yeah. Jeez, why do people own cats?
What if I don't? Like 3 years ago, I would have said the same thing. I don't know. Cats are great though. Cats are the best.
No, I actually did have a cat, and then he got sick, and I had to put him down. But yeah, he was definitely one-minded when he wanted to be, and he's just like a bastard.
Wow, I know
lovable
I'm
bastard.
Here, but like, I definitely watched that kid just try to get the animal to do something for like a good 5 seconds, and it wouldn't move.
Yeah, I think like this is what's going on right now. Like, I want him to jump on this ledge up here.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember exactly where, but he's kind of sitting there staring at it.
No, man, he's not into that.
He's looking at this ledge here. Okay, I'll jump down here for you. Yeah, so I mean, that's what this whole game is like, though. That's what the control in this game is like. It's not everything is up to you for like getting from place to place, whether or not you're gonna fall from a ledge, and whether or not you're gonna be saved from a big fall. You become increasingly reliant on getting through this game with this animal. You become increasingly reliant on Trico to help you through, and you feel like he becomes reliant on you, and that just establishes this really great dynamic, this kind of like buddy movie so far, this adventure. It feels like like you're having an adventure with like a companion. And again, talking about the Ueda's previous like 2 games, it's scaled up, and this is just like on the curve. The curve just got a lot steeper as far as the personality and the autonomy of your partner. You know, it becomes less about leading someone around by the hand, and it becomes more about, hey, could you jump up here, please?
Yeah, it's a good contrast with your favorite game of the year, Titanfall 2. Because in Respawn's Titanfall 2, you also have a buddy companion. It's a giant robot.
Okay, so yeah, for the last few minutes here, let's talk about can you compare that from what you've seen here? Because I don't have anything against Titanfall 2. I just haven't played it. I'm just hard pressed to. I mean, this is just a different feel.
Yeah, so like it's.
And I want a giant robot companion, by the way. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, it's an interesting study in contrast, right? Because like straight up, if you just came to me and said, I have 2 games, you have time to play one. One is about you and a giant cat dog bird, and the other one's about you and a giant robot who's your buddy. Like, I'd pick giant robot every day. But it turns out in Titanfall 2, while that execution is quite good, like they managed to create a giant companion that is believable and like kind of likable and fun to hang out with. You know, like, and they solve the concrete challenges that Ueda and his team have solved here of like, how do you make a giant creature move through the environments the same way as a small creature, and how do you design environments for both scales? The implementation in Titanfall 2 is very straightforward. Like whenever either you don't have control of that character at all and they just kind of work on their own, or if you do have control, you can give them exact controls. Like, go here, do this. I think this. I don't think this.
Yeah.
And it works very well. But it's what you might consider like contemporary game design where again it's perfect and precise, whereas here like everything is kind of obtuse and kind of wavy, like it's not clear if you're
Yeah.
like, I mean you can clearly
It's fuzzy.
show
Oh
the
my gosh.
fuzzy's a good word for it. Yeah, like you have that shield and that's pretty accurate, but like trying to get Trico to jump on things or get through a certain thing sounds like it takes
I'm just
doing.
laughing because again, Alex is on a 7 or so second delay, just like all of you, so he's not seeing. There it is, right there. Like this whole time, I'm trying to get him to jump over that ledge and go to that over that gate.
He just
and
did
then,
it while you went away.
Yeah, and then I come back and he's on the other side.
Man.
Okay, so what do you think about that, Alex? I think it's endearing.
It is. I mean, it is endearing as long as you go into the game knowing it's what you want. Like, if you were trying to, like, speed run this, that would obviously be maddening, but, like, no one's trying to speed run this. No one in their right mind is trying to speed run this. I think it's great. I think it's fantastic, and it's rarely done, and I think it's a good example of how you can execute, like, soft design well, or, like, kind of wishy-washy, fuzzy, imprecise design.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, it's just you have to create the context where behavior like that is okay, where it actually makes sense. And I know that we've talked to other game developers about this type of thing before, but you know, your technical limitations or maybe even like your talent limitations, you know, are actually okay in a certain maybe narrative framework. Kind of like here, but yeah, I mean, my point is that is what a cat would do, or a dog. It wouldn't do something until it has to be its own idea, you know.
Yeah, there is no better pet simulator than a good Team Ico game.
This might be the ultimate pet simulator. So we're about out of time here. It appears that we are at an impasse.
Yeah, like what, you just stuck. Maybe you should just turn your back. If you just walk and pretend you're not looking, it'll jump.
How about this? I'll pet him. Oh, let me put this away.
How does petting work? Is it just like a button press, or is there like a tap and hold? Is there like different ways?
Yeah, it's you press circle when you're on him.
I want a really complex, like, cat petting.
It actually does serve a purpose later on. He gets really worked up by some enemies, and after he's done taking him on, he just has a hard time getting settled down. So then you just pet his head for a little bit.
That's pretty good.
This is pretty funny, though. I didn't have this issue the first time I played through this, but he's definitely... Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe he's supposed to hang his tail down, or
yeah. I mean,
I'm going to dance in place and point frantically up there and see if I can get him to do anything.
Yeah, based on my experience in past Ueda games, you have to take him by the paw, lead him towards it, and then stab him in the glowy part, and then he'll jump.
Oh yeah, that is maybe what his next game is going to be like, except in VR. So everyone, thanks a lot for joining us on this very laid-back Pet Simulator 2016 stream. Hope you got something out of this, and you can subscribe right here on the page. We're gonna have an archive. We're gonna have an archive of this too, so you can listen to Alex and I's fascinating discussion about cat bird dogosaurs. But I am Chris Graft, editor-in-chief of Gamasutra.com.
And I'm Alex Waro, editor of Gamasutra.com. As the winter rolls in around us, I want to thank you all for joining us to huddle around this game for warmth and sort of just chill out and enjoy it. Have a good day.
Snuggle up next to your dog or cat or your dinosaur. Yeah. All right. Bye, everybody. Thanks.
Bye.